people obsess about the things at the beginning. Oh, my logo needs to be perfect. I did all of this stuff. My logo needs to be perfect. My website needs to be all this. I need to have this in place. And then when you go through it, you realise you're going to change, the market's going to change, everything's going to change. So the main thing is get started and be prepared to change and adapt as you change and adapt. What is it that you want to be known for? It's not to say that you're always going to be stuck doing that.
Hi, Gavin Coyle here again. I'm the Gaffer podcast and we have a brilliant guest here, Daniel Brown. Daniel Brown, how are you? How are things? Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm very well, thank you.
Yeah, I'm super excited about yourself in particular because I've been kind of bigging you up today. I've been posting a few things on Instagram and stuff like that to say, like, I've got a very special guest on today who's going to smash it in 2024. I love your business model. I know we're going to get into it. I love the way you've created this niche into the market, into the construction sector, and how you're helping construction owners, like especially the small to medium enterprise builders and stuff like that. And I'm looking forward to hear your insights and how you can share some of your experiences and some of the brilliant stuff that you've done for people and continue to do today. And I think, to be fair, once people hear your story and what you're actually building, it's very inspiring, and I'm looking forward to having the conversation with you.
I'm flattered.
Yeah, I know. So look, you were born and now you're here. So what happened in the middle, Dan? Like, where did you come from? What's going on here? Like, how did you get to where you are today? So tell me, where were you born? Where did you go to school? Give me some background. Who's Daniel Brown?
So I'm from Birmingham.
You wouldn't think that now, in fairness.
I know. It's a curse. Some say it's a blessing. But so yeah, from Birmingham, raised single parent.
Okay.
Went to a normal public school. And I think I got my introduction to entrepreneurial thinking through school because I was the guy that used to sell cigarettes at school.
Okay.
So that was kind of my introduction to like kind of breaking the rules a bit and being able to make money. My daily routine was going to the shop and getting 40 cigarettes and selling them for 50p each. So I'd make £10 profit from cigarettes a day.
Okay.
It's not my proudest moment, but it is what it is.
Look, you have to start somewhere.
Got to start from
you
somewhere.
definitely had the entrepreneurial bug. Like, did that come from your mother, your father, by your brothers, your uncles? Where did that come from?
I think for me, growing up, money was always an issue.
Okay.
As I said, single parent, my mum, she used to graft 11-hour shifts, 5 days a week. So because I think I felt a bit guilty for asking my mum for money, it led me to want to try and be self-sufficient and try and be kind of the man of the house.
Yeah.
So cigarettes was the way to do that. And from a business model standpoint, it was easier to carry than cans.
Yeah.
It was easier to get than getting sweets. So it just seemed like the easiest
smart
option, and there was very high demand, so ticked every box.
I never, that's actually a good way of putting it. Like, they're easy to carry, they're small, okay, they're hazardous for your health, so let's not go there on that one. But yeah, there was, I suppose, you had the market and you had the actual supply. So, did you get caught? Was there a problem in school at some stage, or
did get caught.
Did the enterprise get too big?
I did get caught once. Kind of got a bit of a slap on the wrist for it though.
Yeah.
And that was near the end, so I'd pretty much done it for 2 years, and then went to college and tried to find a way to make money when I was in college because obviously I've just lost my income stream.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting a car when I was 17, and I used to do taxiing.
Okay.
So do you remember the BlackBerry Messenger?
Yes.
So I used to have a BlackBerry. I had about 250 contacts from there, from everyone in college. And I used to send out a broadcast message to everyone saying, yo, cheap taxis, if you need a taxi, get in touch, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I used to get money from doing taxi journeys for people.
Brilliant. And what about sisters and brothers? How many's in the family?
So I've got an older sister. She lives in Reading.
Okay.
It really is kind of just me and my mum now, still in Birmingham.
Yeah.
I've actually just brought my mum on into the business.
I'll go on.
So my mum's working for We Build Trades now, which is incredible.
What's her role?
It's kind of like PA to me at the moment.
Okay.
Like just doing little bits around the office, cleaning and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm training her up to do certain things, like when a lead comes in and it's a qualified lead,
Yeah.
we can get something sent out to them so she can do all like the
Yeah.
putting it into the envelopes and sending it off and things like that.
I think that's fantastic.
She cooks for us in the office as
God,
well. So
yeah.
yeah, she's a top chef.
Oh, I love it. And so yeah, you went to university, but what did you study?
So when I went to college, the first year of my college was just completely a mess. I just got caught up with the lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then when I was at the end of my first year, 17, I got a job working for McDonald's.
Okay.
So working at McDonald's, I'm on £3.85 an hour.
Oh my God.
And I started there for pocket money for a lad's holiday that I was going on.
Yeah.
But the managers, 30, 40-year-olds, were saying that, yeah, Dan, I got started for pocket money and I'm still here now. And for me, just failing my first year of college, always wanting to be successful, that was like a big slap in the face moment for me.
Okay.
And I realised that like if I want to make something out of my life, something has to change.
Yeah.
So I actually had to write a letter to my head of year at college to get back in because I'd just been an idiot the first year.
Wow.
They let me back in. I did business, doing a business BTEC. Then I got into Aston University.
Yeah.
And done business and management for the first year. So I used to work at, I used to go to university Monday to Friday. I lived there.
Yeah.
And then I used to come home because it's in Birmingham on Saturday and Sunday and do 2 shifts at McDonald's.
Wow.
So I'd done that for a year.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, after the first year of university, I was sitting in my accommodation and I got a random message from one of my friends in college. And he was like, Dan, watch this video. I think you'd smash this. And basically, long story short, it was like a network marketing company opportunity.
Yeah.
And there was this like 21-year-old guy just sitting on a chair making tens of thousands of pounds. And like everything that he was saying just resonated with me.
Okay.
Because up until that point, the only way I'd been taught to become successful was to go school, go college, go uni, get a job, work for 50 years.
Yeah.
Retire at the end if you're lucky, and then live for a few years and die.
Yeah.
That's what we taught.
Yeah.
So that was my experience. So I did that. I went to university, learning from lecturers who were giving me YouTube videos to watch. I'm paying $9,000 a year at these times for university.
Wow.
$9,000 a year. They're giving me YouTube videos to watch. And then there's this guy sitting on this settee saying, if you want what someone has, then do what they do, say what they say, and you'll get what they have.
Okay.
And like I'm at university wanting to become a millionaire, become really successful, and I'm listening, all due respect, to a university lecturer earning 40, 50 grand a year.
Yeah.
And it just was that kind of common sense that you realise isn't that common that kind of led me on a different route.
Yeah.
And that was, okay, I'm working at McDonald's Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay. Going through this curriculum at university Monday to Friday where they're giving me YouTube videos to watch. So why don't I just create my own curriculum Monday to Friday, be at home, learn from successful people like Robert Kiyosaki, Jim Rohn, Bob Proctor, all of these people, and then still work at McDonald's on a weekend.
Because there's so much content out there.
This was back in 2013.
Oh wow! Okay,
And
so there wouldn't be as much content, but anyone that was speaking from authority because they were first to market, weren't they?
Correct.
So the noise that's there now with all the sort of bravado and egotistic type of marketing gurus that are out there trying to capitalize on, perceptions that are not real or there's no substance. Back when you started getting involved, it really was at the raw stage of content. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And also because I'd never heard these messages before. Like I'd never had a millionaire mentor who was telling me what they were learning. And the network marketing thing, although I'm not involved in it anymore, the thing that I really valued about network marketing was the network side of it.
Yeah.
So do you understand like how network marketing works? And
no, we'll give for anybody listening as well. Definitely give us the sort of the 101.
So the way I kind of got it explained to me back then was that instead of like the traditional way of marketing where you've got these companies that will pay for TV ads, billboards and put tens of thousands, if not millions of pounds into the marketing, the company that I was involved with, they paid their network to share the word. So I would enjoy this bottle of water really like it. Gavin, you should try this water.
Yeah.
And if you bought the water through me, I got a bit of compensation for it.
Yeah.
So it's like network marketing, affiliate
Yeah.
marketing.
It's kind of like influencer.
In a way,
Yeah. In a way, yeah.
In a way. So back then, the company that I was working with was like a health company. They'd done a range of different products. And like through that, because it was network marketing and it was kind of like it's basically like a pyramid. But I'd never heard of like what a pyramid scheme was.
We've heard of what a pyramid scheme can do now,
Yeah.
But like a legitimate pyramid scheme, in fairness, but probably on the borderline.
On the borderline, yeah. It stopped operating in the UK because, so 2 years I was doing this business for, and then all of a sudden stopped operating in the UK.
Oh, wow.
Because it was a health product,
Yeah.
people were making false claims, which led it to get bad publicity. I think it won the suit in the end, but as soon as that bad publicity gets out, no one wants to go anywhere near it.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of valuable lessons there. But the network from the network marketing was, I've got these multi-millionaires at the kind of top of the pyramid who are incentivized to help me become successful, because if I become successful, they become more successful.
Yeah, it's the Amway model and the Herbalife model, yeah.
Very similar to Herbalife.
Yeah.
Very similar.
And of course, business case study, great business case study in terms of, they're still operating today and they still have a legitimate business, and it has been proven that their business is legitimate. But yeah, there is a fine line, isn't there, between, pyramid scheme and this sort of multi-level marketing, tier system, if you like.
100%.
So did they just go out of business? Did they see the writing on the wall and say, here, we're cutting our losses and getting out of here? Or how did that...
When they stopped operating in the UK, I kind of stopped following the kind of progress of the company. I think that the product's still there, but I don't think it's distributed in the same way that it was.
So what did you get out of that for yourself, Dan?
So at the end of 2 years of that, so I've left uni, I'm a university dropout.
Yeah.
I've gone home, working from home for 2 years, building this business, and we got success out of it.
Yeah.
Like I think I had over 1,000 people in my downline.
Yeah.
I was in like 12 different countries because of the power of word of mouth.
Yeah.
So after 2 years of doing that, I was left as just a university dropout who still worked at McDonald's 2 days a week.
Yeah.
But I had the mindset.
You got the mindset, and you got good training in terms of cold calling and building a network. But I think isn't there a real good statistic? I don't know what the numbers are on it, but a lot of and they proved that in the Herbalife, that there was an awful lot of people that didn't even make minimum wage in the tiers, and that there was a very, very small percentage at the very top, that once you were in early and you were growing exponentially because of your location had a good demographic for that particular product, automatically you were producing the numbers. Whereas in fact, when you look at the overall numbers, there's very few people that actually make any money out of these type of schemes. I think you probably resonate with that yourself. So did you go back to university at all to do so basically what you said to yourself, I'm going to do the self-build model myself. I'm going to self-build myself based on this content, and then based on your experience with this so-called scheme, multi-marketing level scheme, or what would you call that scheme that the guys had?
It was multi-level marketing, network marketing, but what happened for me was when the company folded and stopped operating in the UK, the first thing that I did was I went to another company. It was a travel company. Made a bit of money in that, nothing like substantial. Like, I thought I was making money then because, like I said, I was working at McDonald's for like 5. At that point, I became a manager when I was 18. I was on like £6 an hour.
I love that about you. I think you're brilliant. Like, I think that get up and go, and like, I don't know you that well. We've only met once or twice, but you definitely the passion and the ambition that you have is phenomenal. Like, and like, for you to say, you're humble enough. There's no ego involved with regards to your personality, and I'm not blowing smoke up you or whatever else, but like, you got nothing. Nothing was handed to you, and you took your medicine in terms of you didn't cry about it. You had no chip on your shoulder. You just got on with it. So where did it go from then? Like, when you went into this new company, what did they do? What was your goal with that company?
So there was two things that happened at that point. So I found this other network marketing company, but then at the same time, one of my friends from school who I brought into the network marketing, that's a whole other story which I won't get into now, but
Okay.
it was crazy how we met back up.
Yeah.
And now he's working with me in We Build Trades.
Wow.
So it's a crazy story.
Yeah.
But so he had went to Jamaica and he'd met one of our friend's mum, and our friend's mum told my friend that her son had just got a job working for Yale.com.
Yeah.
So Don was like, oh, that sounds good. Like, are there any opportunities going there? And she says, yeah, I'll get my son to reach out to you. So anyway, he gets back from Jamaica. He gets this referral to working for Yale.com, Yellow Pages, doing telesales. And the guy knew that I was working with Dom.
Yeah.
And got me a job offer there as well. And again, long story short, but I ended up getting the job at Yale doing telesales. And for me, that was like, it was like the stars aligned for me, because I've gone through this like incubator of being working from home, personal development, really taking it seriously. Like my full-time job was personal development.
Yeah.
And learning these skills and wanting to be in business. And now I've been presented with an opportunity where I'm going to be on the phone to business owners. My goal was to be on, like my target was a minimum of 3.5 hours a day.
Yeah.
5 days a week speaking to business owners about marketing. So I was being professionally trained, and for people who know about Yale.com, no matter what you think about them, everyone knows that their sales training is
Top notch.
top notch.
And there's a process and there's a system, and it's being built from the ground up, and it's proven.
100%.
Yeah.
I was professionally trained to sell after my kind of personal experience with it. And I've got to be grateful for the woman, Tina, her name is, who hired me.
Yeah.
Because she took a massive chance on me. Like I was going from, again, working at McDonald's 2 days a week
Yeah.
to earning a 22 grand a year basic salary. I thought I was rich. 31 grand a year on target earning. So I didn't even look at the 22 basic. I was thinking minimum 31. I'm smashing my target.
Yeah.
So I've got pictures of me when I worked at Yale. Like one of the blessings there was that all the calls were recorded.
Yeah.
So I just said to my manager, one of the lessons I learned from the network marketing was that success leaves clues. So if I can learn and listen to the calls from the top 5 salespeople and just understand what they're saying, write a script and say what they say, do what they do, I'll get the results that they have. So I used to get to work an hour early, and I've got a picture of myself taking a selfie with like maybe 50 desks behind me, all empty, because I used to just get there early, listen to these calls, and then
Love it.
long story short, again, like and I hate to say this because I don't want to sound like a knob, but within the space of a year, I became the fastest person in their history, 50-year history, to go from a telesales position to a field sales position.
Okay.
And then that opened up a whole new thing, because again, a year ago, I'm frigging working at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Now I'm driving my dream car at
Yeah.
the time. I'm classed as a digital marketing expert. I'm dressing proper. I'm going out and speaking to these business owners. And that was when I was 23.
Wow. And like, did you have a geographic area to zone in on, or were you just said, here, look, go for everything?
Well, that was another interesting thing. So when the opportunity came up, the patch, what came up was Hereford,
Okay.
which was quite far from where I was based. But then as I've got into the job and I've been accepted, the woman who operated literally in my area, she left to become a midwife.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I literally was around my area, like Stourbridge, where Jude Bellingham, footballers from, Stourbridge, Brierley Hill, Kings Winford.
So the accent fitted into the phone call.
I was a natural. But that was all face to face. So I was coming out and I was actually speaking to the business owners.
Yeah.
And that's when, again, my kind of sales skills went up, because you just learn how to speak to people.
Yeah. And you had a good product, in fairness, at the time. I know things have moved on since or whatever else, but at that time, like, Yale was, up there in terms of, it was the go-to, wasn't it? Like,
100%.
Yeah. Like,
They diversified, like they got a lot of their revenue from the Yellow Pages book. But as that was dying out, they took action and they diversified. They got into digital.
So there's a lesson in that in itself, isn't there? In the sense that it's all right having your passion and your dreams, but they can be broken if you don't have the right product, and you know your spirit and your motivation can easily be diminished because you're pushing something that's the market is not pulling towards. Did you find that it was much of an exercise to execute the sales, or you know, was there a fine tuning moment that you said to yourself, do you know what, now I know the workflow in order to get to the end result? Or what was that moment, or what was that experience like?
That's a great question. So there was a couple of things that happened around the end of the first year I was doing field sales.
Yeah.
The first one was I was actively going out and educating myself in marketing because I wanted to understand what I was selling.
Yeah.
Not just from what Yao was telling me, but also from outside. So I was learning more about marketing in general. Then I went for another promotion because following the principles, do what they do, say what they say, I ended up becoming the top performer in field sales in the region. So then I went for a promotion. I drove to Nottingham for an interview. We got shortlisted down to like 4 people. And the interview went really well, they said, but I didn't get the job because I'd only showed that I could sell. I didn't show that I could retain the business. So they wanted...
Okay.
Because it was like 12-month contracts and things. So I can sell it, but can I get them to come on board again?
It's the hunter and the farmer model, isn't it? You weren't able to farm.
Analogy.
Yeah.
So they
Great
wanted...
hunter, but poor farmer.
Well, I hadn't even proved whether I could or not because I hadn't been there for 12 months. But they wanted to see if I could. So...
They no evidence.
Exactly. So I completely understand their logic for it.
Yeah.
But the problem for me there was like... I'm like now 24 and like I've got my dream car and everything, and I realised, and this is why I feel like I am very blessed, because I learned a lesson early in my life that I think a lot of people don't learn until later on in life.
Okay.
And that was like, give me all the material things, give me my car, give me the status and whatnot. I'm never going to be happy unless I am in an environment where I can constantly grow and evolve. If I'm not in that type of environment, then I'm going to feel kind of trapped.
Okay.
So the only option that I had then was to start my own business.
Yeah.
And because I was learning more about marketing, I did kind of lose a bit of faith in Yao's, like the product delivery, because I realised that there was a lot more to it than what was being sold. So because of that, because of the promotion, and I went down to London to a Gary Vee event, those 3 things combined just gave me the kick up the arse I needed to think, you know what, I'm living at home still with my mum.
Yeah.
I've got a bit of money in the bank now. Like when I say that, I probably had like 8 or 9 grand in the bank.
Yeah.
I haven't got no kids. If there's ever a time to take a risk, it's now. And I'll never forget a quote that I heard, and that was, I'd rather live a life of oh wells than what ifs.
Yeah.
Oh well, if I tried and started my business, oh well, at least I tried.
Yeah.
Whereas what if I tried to do that business?
Yeah.
So I decided to take that risk, and that was when the first version of like We Build Trades as it stands today was born.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, look, you know, let's reveal the moment. We Build. What is We Build Trades? Tell me, what is it?
So as it stands right now, and I like to see it as like always evolving.
Yeah.
Because it always has evolved. When I started the business, it was called I Build Assets.
Okay.
And it was called that because, again, Robert Kiyosaki, do what you're passionate about. And when someone asked me what I did, I wanted to say I build assets, as in myself. You are your biggest asset.
Yeah.
I buy, I invest, blah, blah, blah. So that was the name of the business. I thought it was like a quirky name.
Yeah.
Got a few clients on board. Used to go to, do you remember the Google Garage events? I don't know if you've ever...
Google Garage, no.
So Google had a little incentive where they would go and like hire rooms and teach people.
Yes. Yeah. It's kind of get down into the streets and get sort of the organic communication of what's real and what's happening and what's,
that was my battleground.
What's funky.
That was my battleground. That was where business owners met up to understand how to better themselves through the marketing.
Yeah.
So I used to just go to these events, and I managed to pick up a few clients. So I had like a drainage company.
But like, were you concentrating on the construction sector at that point, Dan?
No.
You okay? So So talk me through the I suppose the development stage, then the early development stage.
So at the start, it was just getting anyone I could get my hands on.
Okay. Fight or flight.
Exactly. I need to put food on the table.
Yeah.
Burnt my bridges. Didn't want to go back and get a job, so I had to
Put
make
the head
this
down.
work.
If failure's not an option.
100%, and that was a blessing again in and of itself.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting a few clients, and what was really pivotal then was like, because I was a marketing agency, I knew I needed a website. Long story short, my friend who I used to work at Yale, we've said that he could get me a WordPress website, he would build it. I was mainly doing social media because I couldn't sell the same products that Yale sold because of my non-compete agreement for 6 months. Yale didn't do social media. So my goal was to do social media for clients. In the meantime, my guy was going to build my website for me.
Yeah.
And then once I've got this really good website, I can go to all the clients that I've sold social media to and say, oh, do you want a website?
Yeah.
And do websites.
Upsell.
Long story short, again, he flopped. So I was forced to then go out, and I'd heard of a website called Upwork.
Yeah. Know it well.
So I went to Upwork, and for those that don't know, it's like the freelancing global community of
Gig
freelancers.
economy. Yeah.
So I went there, and again, long story short, I kissed a lot of frogs.
Yeah.
And then I ended up finding a website developer, and he just came to me and says, I really want an opportunity. I'm willing to work on this project for lower than you've advertised it for. And I just thought, you know what, like, fair play. Like, I love that initiative.
Yeah.
So
Another grafter.
I love a grafter. And I ended up working with him, and he built an incredible website for me. And then I went to the clients that I'd had and was like, do you want a website?
Yeah.
Started the website game. And that, for me, was, again, just a very valuable lesson. And that lesson was that most people, they start the business out of frustration.
Yeah.
I was pissed off because I didn't get the promotion.
Yeah.
Most plumbers start the business because they're sick and tired of being told and they think they can do it
or
themselves.
they're sick of telling the boss how it should be done properly, or why did you take on that guy? That guy is not as good, and you know he's costing me time, he's costing me money because I have to train him, and he's not listening or she's not listening. And you know I've seen it loads of times, and I keep on saying to those people as well, like, not that I'm a professional guru in that area, but like, when you get to the stage where you're constantly frustrated by the people around you, it's not them, it's you. So you have to change.
100% accountability.
Yeah. So either stay where you are and shut up, or get out and do it yourself and go out on your own. And I think, you know, a lot of guys that are listening to this have done that. I think they've got to that breaking point where there is no other option, similar to yourself. They've went, you know what, I'm just going to buy a van. I'm going to take on a couple of contracts myself because I know a couple of contacts. I'm going to do this myself and I'll get by. But I see a lot of those guys really hit breaking point before they actually make that decision. And then it's kind of like the business acumen and the whole sort of how to work your business kind of comes after that. Whereas I see the motivation initially is the frustration of I'm sick of working for people that, you know, don't really know, you know, their head from their tail, and I know more than them. That's really what I see. Is that your experience with the trades guys? Is that they end up?
I think any business owner, I think you've got to have a specific skill set to be confident enough to go into business.
Yeah.
So like, you're the best plumber, you start a plumbing business.
Yeah.
You're a great web designer, you start a web design business.
Yeah.
My business was I was good at selling marketing.
Yeah.
So I started a business selling marketing.
Yeah.
But what the pivotal moment was for me, and have you ever read The E-Myth by Michael Gerber?
No.
So whenever a new client comes on board, the number one thing that I say to them, they need to read The E-Myth, the entrepreneurial myth it's called.
Okay.
And Michael Gerber, the author of it, he talks about you've got 3 types of levels in business. You've got a technician, where people start, you've got the manager, and you've got the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And what most people do when they start in business is they have an entrepreneurial seizure, like they obviously think that they can do it, not realising the mountain that they've just created for themselves.
Yeah.
So the blessing that I had early on, going back to the point, was that I just sold this website that I didn't create.
Yeah.
And my business has benefited from it.
Yeah.
So it'd be like the plumber benefiting and gaining a customer from doing a job that he never actually did.
Yeah.
So that was massive for me.
Close to passive income.
It was like work on the business, not
Yeah.
in the business.
100%. Yeah.
Like, build the business that you want and then build the system that you want, and then have other people operate the system.
Yeah.
And I got that lesson really early on, which was key. So then what happened was, obviously I started to realise the power of these global teams. The labour was lower, the work ethic was way better.
The reach.
Yeah.
You know, the hour, the zone, the time zone. You come in the next morning and all the work is sitting there waiting for you to review. Like, I started working with Upwork about 15, nearly 20 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Elance back in the day before it was Upwork. And I was like, I couldn't believe, everyone was talking about Facebook and LinkedIn, and, you know, things were starting to go social media at the time. And I was going, no, this Elance thing is like, I think this is brilliant. Now, fair enough, you're going to get a load of people coming in with $1 bids and $5 bids, which are totally ridiculous. But, you know, like anyone else, we went through a lot of frogs, and we kissed a lot of frogs before we got to the point where we started to realise the value of putting proper structured bids together, or tender bids together on Upwork, that attracted certain individuals that were at a certain level. And then we actually started paying them what they wanted, and in some cases even more, because we valued the relationship and we became more mature on the platform. And I think, you know, I've heard people coming on to Upwork and Fiverr, for example, and I got a bad experience and I had this. No, but did you stick it out? And did you, you know, constantly try and find that value? Because the value is there, but you got to do proper due diligence. You know, there is a system in place with these models in these platforms, and I'm sure you can recognize it, where, you know, there's loads of filters that you can filter down to get the right person. And even now with Upwork, they have projects, don't they? You can actually say, well, look, I have a website project, and you can actually do it as a package model rather than find an individual freelancer and stuff like that. So, like, they've been very smart. Like, I think the World Economic Forum actually recognised it as the next, you know, revolution.
Okay.
Like, it has been documented as the next revolution in terms of totally revolution the workplace market. And then obviously COVID hit, and then everybody started flooding onto these freelancer markets, going, oh, hold on a minute, I don't think I'll be going back to work anytime soon because I'm getting extra money here. So even in our business, a lot of our work is outsourced to Upwork. And like, we've a health and safety business as well, and I've been trumping this for a good while. There's really good health and safety professionals who worked in oil and gas or power generation or even construction, and they've done brilliant work for us in terms of documentation and stuff like that, that we wouldn't be able to access these guys at that value other than them being on the internet, basically. So do you still use that as a model within your own business at the moment, Dan, or what's your model in terms of what's your outsource model to your direct employee model?
I don't employ one person.
Love it.
Not one.
Wow.
And I think you hit the nail on the head earlier, where you said that if you're not finding the candidates, you've got to take 100% responsibility for that.
Yeah.
You need to be thinking about what's your job description templates like.
Yeah.
Why would someone want to come and work with you?
Yeah.
So that goes back to the start, when it was like, I build assets.
Yeah.
I met up with my now very close friend, and she's also my photographer, and her soon-to-be husband is a drone photographer as well. So like, we travel up and down the countries doing these video shoots for our clients, which are incredible days. And when I first met her, it was like maybe 6 months into my business, and she said to me, we sat down, first time ever, we was in Costa for like 5 hours. And she says, oh, is it just you in the business then? I was like, no, funnily enough, we've got like a team. We've got a graphic design team in Pakistan, website team in India. I've just got a virtual assistant in India as well. And she was like, so why is it I build assets? I was like,
yes,
we build assets.
Yeah.
So then I changed the name to We Build Assets.
Yeah.
And then the next step of evolution was that we started getting really good results for a local plumbing and heating company.
Okay.
And that company is still a client now. I regularly go to Miller and Carter with him. I've known him for 7 years, and
Yeah, I've
very
watched,
good
I've watched
friends.
some of your social media. Like, yeah, you guys definitely have a good bond.
Well, this one, which one did you watch? The one up in Glasgow, Scotland?
Yes, was recent enough, the one I looked at.
Yeah, so this client I'm referring to, I don't think I've ever done anything online with him.
Okay.
But he was my first plumbing and heating client, and we started getting good results. And what was really weird was that the niche I wanted to get into back at the start was restaurants. Like, I've got a book at home called Restaurant Success by the Numbers. That's the niche I wanted to go down.
Yeah.
But because I got really good results for this plumbing and heating company, I just had a kind of light bulb moment where I thought, plumbing and heating companies only operate in like a 10, 20 mile radius. So if I can just do what I've done for this company in Newcastle, Edinburgh, Manchester, Cambridge, Oxford, wherever,
Yeah.
then it's just rinse and repeat the system.
I'll tell you what, you're light years ahead of me. Keep going.
Yeah. So that's what happened at that point. And obviously when COVID hit, my thought process was, imagine if I went down the restaurant route.
Yeah.
My whole business would have collapsed.
Yeah.
3 years.
100%. Yeah.
So then I was lying in bed. It must have been like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't sleep, and I just had this thought in my head, like, we're going to get limited with just plumbing and heating companies, especially if we have like a radius that we cover.
Yeah.
And
where's the scale?
where's the scale? And I thought, an electrician has the same kind of business model that a plumber does.
Yeah.
And so does a driveway company, kitchen and bathroom company.
Civil engineering, roofing.
Everything.
Yeah.
Trades.
Yeah.
We Build Trades. Is that domain available? GoDaddy, webuildtrades.com, available.
Wow.
Oh my God, I'm getting this
And
domain.
of course, if you don't secure it there and then, GoDaddy will secure it after you.
What, you know what I mean? I think they do that,
Yeah,
you know,
well, look,
and then sell it back for you for 100 times as much.
Disclaimer. But yeah, I funny enough, when you go back to, they're never there when you look at them. So, but
And then you've got to pay a broker 50 quid just to go and try and find it, and they
Yeah.
own it. Yeah, they've
But,
got the business model smashed.
like, brilliant name. We Build Trades.
And this is what I mean. Like, I think, and a lesson there again is like, and I just see this because I've spoke to tens of thousands of business owners.
Yeah.
Like, people obsess about the things at the beginning. Oh, my logo needs to be perfect. I did all of this stuff. My
Yeah.
logo needs to be perfect. My website needs to be all this.
Yeah, you get
I need to
caught-
have this in place.
Yeah.
And then when you go through it, you realise that it's a fluid, like, you're going to change, the market's going to change, everything's going to change.
Yeah.
So the main thing is get started
Yeah.
and be prepared to change and adapt as you change and adapt.
Yeah.
And the market does.
Yeah.
So then we rebranded to We Build Trades. At the time, we probably had maybe like 30 different plumbing and heating clients
Wow.
up and down the country. This was 2020.
So how did you get those clients?
Facebook ads,
Love it.
all Facebook ads.
Yeah.
Like, still to this date, 90% of my clients I've never met face to face.
Yeah.
It's all online.
Yeah.
So 90% of my clients I've never met face to face, and 90% of my staff I've never met face to face.
Yeah.
It's a real like digital marketing
Yeah, but
agency.
these guys are busy, you know. Like, especially guys listening to this podcast as well. They're flat out.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? That they're relying on you, and they trust. And you do come across very trustworthy, by the way. But they rely on you for the results, and obviously you are achieving those results, and you're making it easy for them. You're not filling them with jargon, and I think that there's a lot of noise in your sector. Well, let me put it to you this way. Not in your sector, because you've been very smart to create a niche, a digital vertical model within the digital marketing space, just purely on construction, and there's no one really has snapped up and captured that market like you have. And obviously the numbers are indicating that there is value and that there is this niche that you've created for yourself. But in terms of construction, where do you see, so say for example, I'm setting up a carpentry business. How would you advise me if I got in touch with you today in terms of what I need that is an immediate priority from the get-go? So let's say for 6 months, what do I need to do?
So the first thing I'd say is you need to kind of claim your brand.
Okay.
So you need to like I've seen it so much where people will not have like a website or anything, and they've got this idea for a business, and the first thing I say to them, like, have you bought the domain? And they're like, no, and they go and check if the domain's there, and it's not.
Or someone else has bought it for them and then they've taken it with them because they've never went back to them.
Yeah. And then they haven't got access to the thing that they've claimed is the whole idea in their head.
Yeah.
So like the first thing, and this is really kind of basic stuff, but like if you've got an idea, you need to go and claim the brand.
Yeah.
Go and buy the domain, go and get all the social media channels. It's a bit of a ball ache, but it's just one of them things where you do it once, it's done.
But they could go to you in as well and say, look, I don't have a brand. Would I be right in saying that? And then you would say, right, let's work with you and create a brand? Or are you saying that they need to come to you with the brand?
No, they can, like, I'm literally working with a client now, and I remember probably 4 months ago, he was like, Dan, I'm not really keen on like the name that I've got at the moment.
Yeah.
Went onto Google, typed in business names, typed in boiler, and then Boilable came up. I was like, Boilable's a good name.
Boilerball.
Boilable.com was available.
No way.
Boilable.com.co.uk was available. So he thought, damn, that's a good name.
Yeah.
His whole brand name's Boilable.
Oh my God. Brilliant.
So that happens regularly.
Yeah, but like, in fairness, you need to give yourself a pat on the back for that, because, like, honestly, like, you know, my brother set up a heat pump business recently, and again, he went through frustration as well. He was giving out about everybody. He was giving it loads about the foreman, the contracts manager, the CEO. He was giving out about everybody, and I said, look, and he hadn't got the balls to go out on his own. But eventually he did, and he did actually pick out something really smart. He said, I'm not going to do any installation work. I'm only going to do service work. So he just services the heat pumps.
Okay.
And I was kind of thinking, maybe he's missing the trick here, because he's going to leave money on the table by not doing the installation. But as I've watched his business grow, and I've been helping him, mentoring him and stuff like that, he was on the money. There was enough work in the service business for him to grow his business, and the installation work was actually going to cost him more money. So it was going to cost him money on materials, it was going to cost him money on labour. There was a lot more outlay up front that he would have to, you know, put out, which would damage obviously his cash flow, which obviously damages his first year in business to try and get that thing up and running and whatever else. But we were looking at his name, and I was like, geez, you can't do that, because it was just so long-winded. And you know, everybody seems to go with the whole, well, I have it as a Gmail, so I'll use it as the brand. I don't know if you've come across that. Well, just what is it with, like, just because you have the Gmail doesn't mean to say that defines you as the brand. And I think there's a good conversation to be had around, you know, spending time on the value of your brand and how important that is, because ultimately the way I see it is, if you want to leave a legacy to your whoever, or you want to sell the business later on, it's the brand and the database that's going to be sold, and the contracts obviously, and the people within that obviously are the operations people. They are the gold dust obviously. But we found a brand in Ireland that had the name Ireland in it. I can't say the name of the company because whatever, but they didn't secure. It was Ireland something heat pumps, and instead of doing the other way around and saying heat pumps Ireland something, they didn't secure the other way around. Okay, so now when people Google a version of that, they're coming across my brother's website by default.
Kink in the system.
Yeah, we paid €290 for the website, but he's getting on average 3 to 5 visitors a day organically, because people are putting in the other version of the normal company that is more established, that is 50 years in the business. But because they didn't reverse engineer their own domain website and secure that for themselves, he's capitalizing on that as a brand. And I think there's a lot to be said when people get in touch with you and the likes of your speciality. You know, that's the differential. Like exactly what you just done for that guy in the boiler business. like that's gold dust, you know, and I don't think you should take that lightly either. Like exactly pat on the back for you, but also, hey, how do you make sure that that's secure for yourself for the future, that no one's going to come in and attack that name?
This is why I say it's a first step, because it is like you've got to do those types of things.
Yeah.
And the second thing, you mentioned something then, which would be my other bit of advice to someone who was starting out from scratch. Like, you need to pick, rather than trying to be everything for everyone. Like, if you're a general like plumbing and heating business, you might do like showers, taps, boiler servicing, boiler repairs, underfloor heating. You might be able to do all of those things.
Yeah.
But how much more difficult is it to scale that type of business than if you just say, look,
100%.
my favourite job to do is boiler installs. I'm in and I'm out. It's good profit. I run a boiler installation business.
Yeah.
I run a heat pump servicing business.
Yeah.
And when you're that specific, it allows you to simplify things and scale up.
Yeah.
So that would be my second bit of advice. It's like, what is it that you want to be known for?
Yeah.
It's not to say that you're always going to be stuck doing that.
Yeah.
Like, you could then venture out, like if you started off just installing gas boilers and then you wanted to get into air source or ground source heat pumps.
Yeah.
Once you've mastered the boiler side of things and you've recruited a good team there and it's kind of self-sufficient.
Built a department.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I've seen that so many occasions where electricians are getting pulled in to do CCTV. You know, CCTV guys are asked to do other stuff like, you know, automated gates or something like that. You know, oh yeah, I'll do that. And next thing, all of a sudden, you lose focus, you lose traction, and we don't have the resources. People don't have the resources to back up multiple facets of their business.
100%.
It's hard enough to have the language, to control the language, and I don't hear enough people talking about that as well. Is that when you talk about, say, for example, boilers, and all you're doing is talking about boilers every day of the week, you're going to know everything about boilers. If you start introducing other stuff like radiators or, you know, ground source heat pumps, as you say, or whatever else, now all of a sudden the conversations are getting diluted, and you're not getting on trend, on market. What's the golden stuff? What's the nuggets that people are looking for? And I think anyone that's listening to the podcast, like, that's a massive takeaway for them as well. Wouldn't you agree that stick to what you know, stick to your core focus, stick to what's within your capacity? And, you know, we've had some brilliant guests here who've discussed areas where they just see massive risk on companies where they're going to go to the wall because they haven't got the capacity to deliver on all the aspirational stuff that they probably could do and they probably have some knowledge about, but rather because they didn't shrink themselves and narrow themselves into a vertical, which is exactly what you've just done in the digital marketing space, and kudos to you. But like, are you guiding people through that process as well? Do you find yourself kind of mentoring people to that point as well and saying, look, you know, I'm building your website, but by the way, your messaging is all over the place, because if I build this website for you, it looks like as if it's a marketplace for plumbing and heating or for carpentry or whatever else, rather than I do roofs.
It's funny, Paul, our mutual friend, I actually paid for him to come up and spend a day with me, because he's just a beast when it comes to business. And when he kind of evaluated the business We Build Trades, he was like, Dan, you're branding yourself as like a marketing agency, but really what you're offering is a business in a box. A brand new trade business, no matter what business it is, could come to us with literally no brand, no identity, nothing, no idea. And we could create them an entire basic business. Of course, they would have to be the ones going out and doing the work and hiring people and whatnot. But like from an online sense, we build the website, we build all the graphics, we do all the logos, we do all the email marketing, the text message marketing, the Facebook ads, the Google ads, literally everything we build from scratch. And it kind of is a bit contradictory, because I'm saying to focusing on one area, but then we do all of these services. But the niche that we've got is that we do all of those services, but the niche is only in the trades, and it started only in the plumbing and heating space. And what I think really differentiated us, and kind of where we have kind of a moat around us now, if you like a huge competitive advantage, is that when I started, like, my main priority wasn't we build trades or I build assets. My biggest concern was solving my clients' problems. So like for the first 3 years, like you would have looked at my business and I was basically just an employee for my clients.
Yeah.
Like, what's the number one problem that you've got? We haven't got a consistent flow of leads. All right, let me go and try and solve that problem.
Okay.
Let's get you in a consistent flow of leads. Okay, tick. What problems you're having now? Oh, well, we're getting the leads in, but we haven't got a system to manage all the leads. So what are you doing right now? We're using paper diaries, we're using this. All right, I'll go away and have a look at something.
Yeah.
Come across job management software. Have you ever heard of these job management softwares?
Yeah.
No? Book a demo and let me know what you think, because I have no idea.
Yeah.
You let me know what you think,
Yeah.
and then I'll see if we can get a little bit of a partnership.
Yeah.
Tick.
Yeah.
What else? Recruitment. Massive issue in recruitment with trades. I think one of my clients said to me, and
Big
I don't know exactly how accurate this is, but apparently for every 12 gas engineers that are retiring, there's only one coming in to replace.
Yeah.
So that's a massive problem.
Yeah.
Like, we can create you this predictable marketing machine where you can turn on and off like a tap. But if you have to turn the tap off all the time because you haven't got the capacity to be able to deal with the workload, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge that I'm actually going through right now myself.
Yeah.
Because I've been in kind of behind the scenes operational mode for the past 6.5 years, really behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I've never really needed to build a sales force. I was the sales force. I still jump on sales calls now. I just love it.
You can't help yourself.
I just
I
love
know
it.
you.
I just love I love speaking to people. And I've kind of forced myself to train in areas that isn't natural to me.
Yeah.
Which has made me quite
Rounded.
I feel like it has. So with sales, I've got my guy Dom, who I mentioned earlier. He's had several roles in the business. He's been working with us for 2 years now. So he started off just kind of going through content. Then he started becoming like the Google Ads expert.
Yeah.
Then he became the social media ad expert. Then we got a software, and now he's the software expert. And now he's transitioned into like the sales side of things. And we turned on our ads recently.
Yeah.
And because
you're just everywhere.
There was only 2 of us, and our diaries, like, I'll show you a screenshot in a bit of our diaries, but for the last 3 weeks, like, I'm talking about us doing 20 calls a day.
Wow.
Getting in the office at 8:30 in the morning, I'm back-to-back calls from 9 till 7.
Yeah.
Because we're operating in the US, I've got to stay a bit later because
Yeah.
the time zones and everything.
Yeah.
So it's been that constant.
Yeah.
And then what happened was on Sunday, I'm looking at our diary to see like what slots we've got open for discovery calls. And the next slot that's available was on Thursday. Thought, I can't be having ads on if people can't even book a call. So I've had to turn my ads off now.
Wow.
Because we genuinely have reached capacity where we cannot physically do any more calls.
Love it.
So I've got a sales guy now being trained in the office. So my biggest challenge now is building the sales component.
I love the fact that you brought it up, because I see it with construction owners as well, where there's nearly an implied expectation that they take on staff, and you need to bring people with you, and you need to, the longer you can hold out on your own as an individual, working the tools and not taking on that risk of taking on employees, like like I've done it myself. So one of the first principles of our core business, which is Coil Group, which is premium health and safety people, was one of the principles was not to take on any employees. Was actually one of the first things that I wrote down.
Interesting.
Do not employ anybody, because I found myself that I was a poor manager, and my tolerance level at the time was very thin. I just hadn't got tolerance for problems within the workplace, as in employee problems. I was like, I can't deal with that. So I held out for as long as I could, and that's why the Elance, Upwork, the outsourcing model, and then all of our people that work for us, we've over 60 contractors working on power stations and wind farms around the world, and they're all contractors. So we've got to the stage where I ended up, I had to take people on, so I took my wife on.
Okay.
It was brilliant, by the way. And then we do have 2 brilliant girls, women in the office as well, and they're the full-time employees. But it was a long time before we actually made that decision to take on the employees, because you know, the training, the obligations, the everything that goes with that, that does distract you and bring you away from that whole momentum that you're being building up. And you still don't know 100% exactly what you just said earlier on. You don't know 100% where you are. You're still finding yourself for the first 2 years, maybe 3 years in some cases, but definitely the first 2 years. You're trying to find ground, and you're probably working for people that you shouldn't be working for, or that mightn't value the relationship with you, and that by the time you realise there's no value in the relationship, that person's probably not going to pay you because they've fallen out with you for some whatever reason, and now all of a sudden you've got employees and you've got, you know, bills to pay, and now you've put this massive risk on yourself where you're going to probably end up in the bin. But what I love about your model is you don't need a marketing department. You have this outsourced marketing full cycle model that is within your remit, that is specifically for construction trades, that I can outsource my brand, my awareness. And I don't have to worry about sales. I don't have to worry about me having to go having dinner with people and trying to, you know, win contracts and having to fill out all these tenders. I can just outsource all this to Daniel in webuildtrades.com, and I can, you know, wait for the phone to send me messages or whatever way that is, the CRM or whatever. And I think the longer people can hold out and hold the relationship with them operating the business day in, day out, and then your marketing and sales machine running parallel with them, like, why wouldn't you? It's kind of a no-brainer. And I'd say...
You know, I said I was looking for salespeople.
Yeah.
You were after a job.
No, not after a job. I've done that. But like, honestly, like, I'm not, like, it's so clear, and it's so, you can totally get, you know, where people totally need someone like yourself. And that's why we wanted to get you on the podcast, was that anyone who's listening to this podcast going home or going to work, and they're thinking, you know, God, I need to do this, I need to go out and meet this guy for dinner, or I need to whatever. You know, that's more hours that you're taking away from the family. It's more hours you're taking away from yourself. And, you know, health and wellness and family should come first. And I think a lot of people forget that as well, is that they get caught up in the whole, I'm the breadwinner. If I don't go out and do this, nobody's going to go out and do it. Whereas you're taking probably maybe 20%, 30% of people's, you're giving them back 20% or 30% of their time by controlling all the stuff that you're controlling, and just say, hey, you crack on and do what you're good at. We'll take care of the rest.
I think there's like, it's that concept of like working smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
As well as like, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So like for me, I was again quite lucky because when I got in, because I've come from like the digital marketing space before.
Yeah.
Like I realised that like, rather than me trying to cold call 1 million people and send out loads of cold emails,
yeah,
I can create a system where I can turn it on and people will come to me.
Yeah.
And that's very similar in the trades. Like I get a lot of comments on my ads that people are commenting saying, like, I get enough work through word of mouth, or the day I need to start advertising is the day I quit. And I'm like, are you stupid, bro? Like, if you had a machine that you could put £1 in and get £2 out, and why would you brag about not putting £1 into it?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, but in fairness to them, and I'm not here to defend them, but there is an awful lot of noise and charlatans in the digital marketing space. Like,
do you know what it comes down to?
There's so much scamming going on at the moment as well. Sorry, I'm not saying you're a scammer, but like, it's more spam that's coming at people. You know,
it comes down to what I said. People don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And because they don't know what they don't know, they seek expertise from people in an area where there is a lot of charlatans, there is a lot of scammers.
Yeah.
Like if I've got a problem with my car and I have no idea about cars, that mechanic could tell me anything.
Yeah.
And I could pay to solve a problem that wasn't a problem in the first place.
Yeah.
So like what we do with our model and why we're trying to solve that big problem of bad information is we put our entire model out there for free. So you can go to webuildtrades.com now /demo, watch an 11-minute video that will show you the system.
Yeah.
No money involved, Nothing.
Yeah.
You see the system for yourself, and by seeing that, you've just learned how marketing works.
Yeah.
And then once you know that you can actually create one of these predictable machine generating systems that every big company has,
Yeah.
that's when you start realizing that, okay, maybe I should start trying to build this out rather than working smarter, not harder.
Yeah, but like the majority of guys listening to this don't have the time, and that's why they'll look for you, Dan. And I have to say, like, you've been brilliant. I was really looking forward to today's podcast. It was brilliant.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Where are we going to find you? I think you've just given the website. Give the website again, and where else? Like, you know, I'm setting up a new business. I've got a current business. How do I get in touch with this Dan Brown guy?
The best place is just to go to webuildtrades.com.
Okay.
We've just redone the website. We've got a lot of resources on there.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things in the trades is obviously not having the time, like you just said.
Yeah.
So when we first created the demo video, it was 40 minutes. We've managed to condense that down to 11.
Yeah.
So if you get a spare 11 minutes, go and check that out.
Yeah.
And then they can book a free discovery call with us where we can just learn a bit more about the business. And if we feel that there's a fit, we'll show them exactly what the setup and costs look like. If not, we'll try and guide them. And we get a lot of Google reviews from people we haven't even worked with just because we're trying to add value.
Yeah.
We're trying to give advice even if they're not in a position to work with us. So yeah, webuildtrades.com.
Yeah.
And also We Build Trades on social media.
Dan, you have an amazing story. Your mother must be very proud of you as well. So, you know, I think it's a credit to you. And I'm looking forward to seeing your success. You're going to smash it in 2024. That's like it's a no-brainer for me. I can't wait to see your success. And thanks very much.
Thank you for inviting me, and hopefully we'll do this again soon.
All right, pal. Take care.
Take care.